Streaming live around the world, this is Paper Cuts.
No! God, please, no! No!
With Brad and Jay.
We need like some name tags with our picture on it, all laminated and whatnot. I mean, we gotta look legit, man.
You sound insane. Do you realize that?
We are live. Here we go, the only way we can, with an inconsistent time and an inconsistent day. You know, it's like I don't know, Brad, if they did this in Kentucky, and they've done this here in Ohio before, like in the 90s, when there'd be like a hot band playing like a secret show somewhere. I know they do it in New York every now and then, and you get these clues because they're playing like 3 o'clock in the morning at like a hot club. That's what we're doing with our show.
We don't have hot clubs here in Kentucky.
I didn't think you did. Yeah. We're going to like have like, you don't know when we're going to have the show from now on. Yeah. Right. Okay. What's going on
in the air all the time?
Yes. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Yes. Welcome to a new episode of Paper Cuts. My name is Jay. Thank you so much. Over this.
No,
I do it every time.
This way. Do it.
Right.
Can't do it.
The very popular.
No.
The Brad Proctor. I mean, he's very popular on
Twitter. I don't know about that.
Yes.
Maybe on Twitter a little bit, just a tiny bit. Not really.
That's all that counts.
That's all that counts. It's just your Twitter thing is all that matters.
Yeah. What else is there?
Exactly. Did you have dinner yet, Brad?
Else.
Did you make your kids dinner yet?
No. I made him eat a bologna sandwich, and the other one's asleep. Yeah. She fell asleep on the couch.
We got to have this conversation again, don't we? All right, so our guest this evening, I am very excited about this, just to hang out and chat with her. And just for all the past guests, I was very excited to hang out with you too. Okay, don't get jealous, but yeah. I'm going to say a bunch of stories here. I'm going to miss a bunch. That's what we do. We'll chat about them in this. Yeah, we'll chat about them in the show. How about that? The writer of Whispers in the Dark. I haven't read that one yet.
Shame.
I was supposed to read it a couple months ago.
Shame.
It's really long.
Crossroads.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
What did you just tell me before we went live?
I don't know what you're talking about, Jay.
Okay. A number of short stories floating around everywhere. 2 of them, I believe, are in We Are Wolves. Right. She also has one in a brand new anthology from Scott J. Moses. What's it called? What One Wouldn't Do. I butchered that, didn't I?
Jay can read. Look at him.
I know. What I didn't get the physical copy. I got the ebook. I didn't get the physical copy, but
yeah, it's not right there for you to look at.
Exactly. And I feel like I'm seeing her name everywhere with blurbs about books. Like she has a blurb. Yeah. In the new Ali C book, there's a blurb in it.
Yeah, that's so good.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the new Mike Thorne book that's not out yet. I just got the arc of that. I saw a blurb in that one, and the S.H. Cooper book that I'm halfway through.
Inheriting Her Ghosts.
A blurb in that one. So I can only hope that one day she'll blurb my book.
I will absolutely.
I have to finish it. I have to finish it first. Okay.
I will blurb your book. You can reserve a spot right now.
Okay. Let's just record it, so I have proof. Everyone, give it up for Laurel Hightower. Hello. Thank you for joining us.
Hi. Thank you guys for having me. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for rearranging your schedule around my toddler.
We understand, though, because we're all parents, too, so we understand.
So we'll just get this out of the way here. Thanks for joining us on Brad's show.
Yeah, thanks for coming to my show.
And as we start winding down here, see you later.
Jay just pieces out. He's done.
I know. I'm done.
You'll never live that down, Laurel.
It's like so many inside jokes. People are like, we don't understand what's going on. You know.
So tell them what the inside joke is. So
I don't even remember. I put the snippet on Twitter. I can't even say on that tweeting machine. I put the snippet on there earlier. Machine. Yeah. Look, we could talk about how Twitter is evil, but we won't get into it. It's fine. We're spotlighting Laurel this evening, so we're not worried about that.
I'm sitting here reading the comments and dying. I love
Chris is taking a luxurious bath. I mean, when Chris comes, it's just out of control.
Oh, is he put the time on there that we were late? We were late.
Yeah, we were late. And whose fault is that? It's Laurel's fault.
Me.
Is it your fault though, or is it the kid's fault? Let's be honest.
It's ultimately mine though, because really I should get things started early. Hey, Brad. Hey, Justin. Thank you all for
I
coming.
mean, I could go ahead and throw a Kentucky joke in there and say it's a Kentucky
Do
joke.
it. Hey,
Tag team us.
I mean, it feels like we're like nobody wants to come on the show anymore. Are we just grabbing your neighbors, Brad, or what are we doing?
I mean, if we actually live together, or next door to each other, that'd be pretty dope.
That'd be great. Down the street.
There's actually only 10 people in Kentucky.
Yeah.
That's what I figured.
It's me, Laurel, Beard.
Yeah, it's really all it is.
You know half the population of Kentucky, Jay.
I did.
True.
Wow, that's amazing. What are you drinking tonight, by the way?
I am drinking whiskey. Shame on me, it's not actually Kentucky bourbon, but
come on.
I have Nepog Castle, someone who can speak better. I don't know, like it's not English. It's just I'm from Kentucky. Nepog. I'm from Nepog Castle over here.
I still have your little Woodford Reserve bottle you sent me with your gift package.
So
I don't want to drink it because it came with that package.
I don't know anything about whiskey.
Yes.
Yeah, like I know nothing about whiskey. I'm like, well, what dollar shelf was that on? Is that the $4 shelf? $10 shelf?
40.
A $4 shelf. You don't want to drink the $4 shelf there, Jay.
Hey,
$4 shelf.
You can't get it at the gas station. I don't know. I'm not a.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I've never bought it at a gas station, but I'm gonna say there's a strong likelihood.
We're gonna go on tour and find whiskey at gas stations and start trying them out.
You get ancient age in the plastic bottle, you're living the right life.
I'm on board with that. I would do it. I would do it. I think you got to have goals. I think that's a good one.
That's what you call
try all the gas station bourbon
with the gas station hot dog and gas station pizza.
Man, look, but explain to me why Speedway pizza is so fucking good. That doesn't even make any sense to me.
You're not the first
sitting
person
there
to tell
for
me
hours
that.
and hours.
I don't think I've ever had it, but you are not the first person to tell me that.
Well, the only reason I even tried it was because my husband, God love him, he had to work there. Like he was working third shift at Amazon, and for a little while to pay off like one particular bill, he then on the weekends would do overnight at Speedway. And like he'd be coming home like, okay, I don't understand, this pizza's so damn good. He was eating that pizza all the time, and I was like, what? Why? And it is. I can't explain
they
it.
Sprinkle crack on.
I was gonna say, is that crack in it? Yeah.
Probably.
Got some of that Kentucky bluegrass in it.
Oh yeah.
This show,
really
I mean,
it's not really.
This show's already went off the rails. I can't. We're what 7.5 minutes in this.
I don't think anyone expected any different.
Oh wow! And the digs already to your show, Brad.
I know.
I mean, like
she's talking about my show here.
For anyone who hasn't seen my eternal shame. When I was on Nikki's show on Dark Between Pages, and Jay was very kindly guest hosting on that too, mentioned something about Brad. I was like, yeah, he's got a new show. And I knew that Jay was part of it, but somehow just, so now, yeah, they're never going to let me live it down.
Did you know though, or did you know?
I did. Well, I went back and I watched the clip that Jay posted, and
that he so graciously posted.
Past Laurel seems to claim that she knew at the time, and I'm going to trust her.
She did say that in the clip that she knew. She just had a moment. So
just a moment.
Yeah,
I have moments all the time. So,
but just for the record, I mean, she was drinking in that episode too.
Oh yeah,
it's a theme.
Yeah,
it is a theme. Although I have to. Okay, so this is something funny that I hadn't really put together until Scares the Care, right? So like Sam Kolyasnik is the one who kind of like told me this. Like we're talking about branding or something. And she was like, I think your brand is bourbon. I was like, I think you're right. This is great. I'm already set. I don't have to do anything. But I also think in particularly that, and it's not like, I know I talk about bourbon all the time, whatever. And I drink on shows. But the thing is, I actually very, very rarely get drunk. Mm-hmm. And I went to Scares and I got the impression, I sort of realized that like, I think a lot of people thought I had a drinking problem. And I think that a lot of people like were expecting me to be plastered. And that could have something to do with the fact that I brought bourbon and had it at my table and dispensed it. No, that didn't happen. That's probably against the rules. None of that happened.
Probably that's probably illegal to do that, right?
I would have probably just who would do that?
Who was it? Was it you that we talked about giving away a bottle of bourbon with every book you sell?
A box of tissues and a bottle of bourbon with Crossroads.
Yeah, with Crossroads.
Yes,
yeah.
I thought you were trying to sign me up for something very expensive. I was like, man.
Oh no.
I love swag, but that sounds.
I'm just saying. Buy this. She'll sign it,
and some
you'll
tissues,
get you'll get
and a little mini
get a
bottle of
bottle of
bourbon
bourbon,
to
yeah.
drown your sorrows at the end.
Which you'll probably, I mean, honestly, I'm sorry, you'll probably need. I keep telling people not to read it, honestly. Like, that's so bad.
Why?
But
It's so good,
to
though.
read Crossroads.
yeah, well, and here's why, though. It's not, I mean, don't get me wrong. I am absolutely completely thrilled when people read my book. Like, and seriously, I mean this, even if they hate it, or even if they're just like, meh, that's like nothing. You still giving your time. And like, and I seriously like that very, very much appreciate it. But, and I just want to say, like, to be real here for a minute, I feel like anybody who has not addressed or looked into the fact that we're all fucked up after this pandemic, and it's not after, I mean, we're in the middle of it. Like, I just think people should be aware of that. And I don't want people to read it at the wrong time and make things worse.
So they need to read something happier, and then when the pandemic's over, then they can read it. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I've said my story before where it took me a long time to read it. I mean, I saw Brad read it, I saw Beard read it, but I was afraid of the kids thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I finally read it. I did not cry, for the record.
It made me tear up.
I did not cry.
I think if it would have been a younger kid, it would have made me cry. It made me tear up a little bit, though.
I don't think I could, honestly, don't think I could write about that.
Yeah.
You know,
I did read it this year in 2021, so it may or may not be one of my tops of the year.
I remember Jay texted me or sent me a message on Instagram saying, "I read Crossroads," and that's all he said. I said, "Did you hate it, Jay?"
There's like several dots at the end.
Because
Like,
usually me and him don't like the same things, at least at that point in time. So it's like, you hated it, didn't you, Jay? He's like, "No, not really. Sci-fi, fantasy, Star Wars, none of that stuff."
That's different. I mean, as far as dark fiction and horror, we do, but
Yeah, we do pretty good on that. But I was like, he hated it because that's all he said. I read Crossroads. ...
I was still breathing and like
just you had to take a moment to
find
finish
my
the rest of the
breath.
message.
And I was probably working when I finished it. I had to take a long break that day. So
Bo Johnson read it. He had fun.
Of
Bo's
course.
great. Go read Bo's Brand New Dark. It's fantastic.
yes, go read. But that, yeah, I want to take a second to say that too. Like, seriously, Bo is absolutely one of the most supportive people in our community, hands down. And he also is a damn good writer, like just phenomenally good, completely his own voice and everything. So yeah, especially if you like things with a crime bent to it, get on that. Fantastic.
Like the way he, not to steal your show away, but the way he talks in person, like in his videos, is the way he writes, at least with Bishop Ryder. And like, it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, except the things he says are generally much, much nicer.
Sometimes.
One person opted out. I'm actually really glad to hear that they did that they looked at it and said, this isn't right for me. That I mean, I don't know. Yeah, not in a good place. I get that.
So have you had any negative reviews on it for things like that? About it was too sad or too grief stricken or anything like that? Or
I stopped reading. I stopped
reading the reviews.
Yeah, I stopped reading the reviews a little while ago. And I mean, it's any author who says they never read their books, or they're probably lying through their teeth. They just have really good self-control.
Because you'll have to be so curious about.
Right. I don't believe the authors will say they don't read the reviews. Yeah.
I could see like Stephen King probably doesn't, because he could probably care less.
Right.
Yeah. And you notice the more like readers that they get, the lower the rating typically gets on like Goodreads. Because if you look at a lot of like Josh Malerman's stuff, it's in like the 3.8, 3.9, 3.7 kind of thing. And I think that's just because once you extend beyond that, that general audience of like the ones who really love horror, I feel like the negative reviews that I've seen on it have had to do some with maybe some with Dan a little bit. But I made some very specific choices in how I felt like he would act. So it's one of those things, like I read a couple of things and I feel like if it's, if it doesn't connect with you and it just doesn't seem right or it wasn't enjoyable, that's also perfectly reasonable. But I'm also not really somebody who usually like will read reviews and like pick up tips. You know what I mean? Because, and that's generally because although I will say, Sarah Tantlinger said so, and she gave a great review to Whispers in the Dark, but she mentioned one thing that like taught me. I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Okay, now I know. And that was really, really great. But for the most part, like the decisions I make are pretty intentional, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think anybody who read it and would be ticked off about it being too sad probably should have been a little more prepared. But I mean, the blur, you know, the back cover copy, you know, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
you kind of know what you're getting into if you at least read the synopsis of what's going on.
Yeah.
Have you read any of the reviews where someone tries to maybe interpret the ending and you're like, no, you're way off. Just no, it's just wrong. Thanks for trying. Go away. No.
No, because I feel like most of the feelings that people have about it are, you know, pretty valid and pretty on point. Because in I know what I think happened. I know, you know, kind of where I wanted to guide it, but I also am kind of a fan with this type of story of it being ambiguous enough for you to kind of buy into however much of the supernatural, you know, makes sense or feels like it was conveyed in that. I'm a big fan of Chad Lutzke. I really love his writing, and he's so funny because he just doesn't get into the supernatural stuff at all. And he said very nice things about my book. And I feel like he was totally like, yep, there's absolutely nothing supernatural in here at all. And I just thought that was so interesting because it was like, you know, it's just everybody's take on it. So yeah.
Because you did it right on the fence where it could be, or it could be all in her head. You know, you're not really sure. You didn't put your foot firmly down one way or the other. So you left it sort of open to interpretation, what the reader sort of wanted it to be.
Yeah. And that was intentional too, you know, in large part because and it's said in there some, but it's, you know, it's just like so much with parenting is the unknown. You know, a lot of paths that you step your foot on, you have no idea where they're going to end, you know, starting with whether you even try to or not. And I think that's just one of the biggest scary things about parenting is just that, you know, there's so few absolutes and there's so few ways to know too that everything's going to be okay, you know.
So did you write the ending that way? I mean, us three know what the ending is. I don't know about people to chat. So I won't say it, but did you write it that way knowing people are going to come up with their own interpretation of it? Or did you, how do I want to word this? Did you play a joke on us, basically? Are you thinking people are putting too much thought into it, trying to dissect it too much, where you're like, no, it's there right in front of you.
It's a lot simpler than what people are thinking.
Trying to go so deep with it.
No, I promise I did not rickroll you guys. No.
That would have been great if, like, the last page, he was just there starting playing and just just a picture of him.
Like
that would have been great. Yeah.
You know, cheerful. But no, I actually did not know exactly how it was going to end until I got there. I had, you know, and I'm a big outliner, so I had everything pretty well plotted out with my scene plan, and I had most of the idea, but there was just a couple ways it could go. And I waited until almost till I got to the end to figure out what sounded right, you know, what seemed right, what was the right ending for it, because I didn't want to shoehorn that in, you know. But I think I mean, I love it if people, you know, are looking at it and wondering and thinking, you know, what could be what. That's, yeah, I enjoy that.
Bo sort of has
thinking about it, which is awesome.
Yeah, Bo Chappelle sort of has a question on there. If they're way off in their interpretation, do you see them as being incorrect?
No, because one of the other things about writing is that, like, it's your, you know, it's your story that you come up with, and it's your, like, intellectual property, and it is what it means to you. But the second you release it, the second you put it in other people's hands to read, it becomes their story too. And so, I mean, it is, I can put the words down on paper, and I can know what I mean by them, and I can know what I meant to convey. But how that hits people and how they experience it is a completely individual experience that belongs to them. And there's no way for that to be wrong.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing I might, and I would never, like, you know, visibly argue with it, but if someone was like, well, this, you know, this writer's a piece of shit who hates children, then I'd be like, that's not what I would take out of, you know, but other than, like, weird extremes. Yeah. It's their interpretation. It's their part of the story now too.
See, I think that's why a lot of times I will refer to, somebody's books as an art form, because if an artist paints a picture, you know, you're going to interpret it a different way. If a band releases a song, and to them it might mean one thing, but you get something else out of it. That's all on you. So I mean, it's all just one big art form. So that's why I usually, refer to a lot of these stories that we read as an art form, and that's the analogy I was trying to make with it. So
that's exactly what Red's saying down there in the comments.
Yeah. Red has a recent collection out too, Dismal Dreams.
Yeah, she does.
Which, if you have not read Red's short stories, you really should. I mean, you should read anything that she writes, but she's also just...
They're on my list, FYI.
I read Lucid Screams last year or year before last. I really like that one. I need to get to what's the other one called?
Dismal Dreams.
Dismal Dreams.
Yeah. She even has a mask that matches the cover to Dismal Dreams, and I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I've seen that. It looks good.
Fantastic.
So how did it feel to be sort of the pioneer of Off Limits Press, being the first book out the gate and sort of help Samantha launch that press?
Oh, just so lucky, honestly, because the thing is, I mean, we know this. Samantha Koyasnik will succeed at everything she touches for a number of reasons. And so I think it wouldn't have mattered what book she launched with. So I was excited that the timing worked on that. I had even actually, it was a little bit short for her parameters. And I am someone who never tries to get beyond that, so I was she posted about it and I'm tweeting about it, everybody submit. And then I can't remember, somebody asked me, you have anything? I was like, no, it's 3,000 words too short. And so she was like, let's send it anyway, so it was kismet for a lot of reasons. Like I said, I feel very, very lucky that she chose it. I just couldn't have picked better, there was, and I don't know why this is, because I don't feel this way about everything that I write, but it was kind of important to me for it to, it was something that I wanted to happen, was to have it be put out by a female led publisher.
Right.
It just felt like a very feminine oriented story. And I liked how that, I don't know, that sounds like it's I don't think a man would have done a good job. That's not at all it. It's more.
I agree.
Come on, Laurel.
It's very, I agree, because it does feel very empowering. It's got that feel to it. So to have Samantha release it, I felt that too. So.
Yeah, it felt like a really good, fit. And she's a hard worker and just so, knows exactly what she's doing. So.
Right.
What was the experience like? Because with Whispers in the Dark, that was with Journal Stone, right? Mm-hmm. Did you actually kind of work with them at all, or was it you just kind of submitted it and they put it out for you, or what was the difference between Journal Stone and Off Limits working with them?
I have to say, I don't know. I guess in some ways it was similar, because they asked me what I pictured for the cover. And I didn't really have much of an idea, but they were like, well, show us some examples of covers that you love as far as style. And I sent them some. And I think the funniest thing that it is, I was like, and also I like really stark trees. And that has nothing to do with my work, but I'm just saying, I like them. And so there's some, if you look in the very background of it, there's stark trees in the back. I was like, well, thank you. You're probably like, what a weird wish list, but yeah, I mean, there was input there, and Scarlett Algie did my edits, and she did a fantastic job. And Mike Thorne actually did the copy edits on that too. So I guess it seemed more like, I think Sam and I were in contact a whole lot more individually for it. And, I think a lot of that just had to do with us kind of tweaking the progress and everything. But, from what I've heard with the other authors too, she's just very hands-on and just very supportive. So
did it just win an award? I saw
Worst Laid Plans did what
Worst Laid Plans
best anthology for Layers of Horror Fiction.
Nice.
And True Crime won Splatterpunk on that.
Oh, did it? Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was a dark book.
Oh yeah. I can't wait for what she comes out with next. I can't. She's a fantastic writer.
How do you feel? I've seen you make your rounds a lot over the summer as far as these interview shows. I mean, do you feel like you're like the queen bee now of dark fiction and horror? Like everyone wants Laurel Hightower on their show. Is your husband
No.
like tired of you doing all these shows now? He's like, hey,
A little. Yeah.
what about me over here? The kid's asleep. Let's watch some Netflix or something. You're like, no, I have to do a show.
I think it's more along the lines of like, all right, I'll get him to bed by myself. You know, but then he gets the TV to himself. So no, I've tried to be, considerate in scheduling them because it is like, gosh, everybody's just worn out. And my son has been quarantined from daycare. He's fine, but they had 2 active cases in his class. So he's been home for like a week and a half, and we're like getting, screening flashbacks to the 15 months of lockdown. And so it's kind of exhausting, but no, I definitely not the queen bee of anything. I think I'm just lucky. I think that I get a chance to talk to people and they want to talk to me. And sometimes I'm not sure why, because I'm not sure what I have to say, but
Well, I just said what 5 minutes, a 5-minute intro of all the stuff you've been doing lately. But yeah, I think you have a lot to say.
Well, as in like never stop talking. Absolutely. Yes.
It works. But with that 5-minute intro I just did with all of this, and plus I missed a lot of stuff too. So how do you balance everything with work? I know you're working, you have a little one that's, quarantined right now, and you have family, and you're doing all that extra writing. How are you balancing all this time? I mean, is there enough bourbon to do this? Or
I think that's a really on point question, actually, in particular right now, because I feel like it's a thing that a lot of us do, and I'm sure it's not just writers, but any creative types and the stuff that you guys do too. It's like you want to be part of it. You want to do all these things. You want to not miss your opportunities, and you're trying to balance everything. And ultimately, what always ends up paying the price is like your self-care, because come on, you're not going to be like, no, small child, I will not interact with you. I'm going to write a book. That's not how that works. And it's something that I've had to really take a look at lately, as far as like just being nice to myself about, I haven't gotten to write anything original in over a month. And that makes it sound like I like put out a book a month. I don't, but I tend to work almost every day on my writing. But I finished a short story that was just, for some reason, it was just hard, to get out I don't know why, but it was really hard to write. And I struggled with it, and I got done with it right before Scares That Care. And then as soon as I came back, I've been immersed in the anthology. And I just sort of took a step back and said, okay, this has a deadline. The anthology is what I need to concentrate on. And I'm not going to beat myself up for not getting to my own writing. And I miss it.
Which anthology is this?
This is
the Dead Inside one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the anthology I'm editing with Sandra Rutten with Dark Dispatch.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's part of what I've done, and I had to kind of take, this is why I feel like everyone should really address how they feel about the pandemic and everything that's been happening. Just because, I worked from home. My husband was working, our son was home. We have no help, we don't have any childcare or anything. And I got to a point in the spring where I was like, oh, I'm not okay. This is really, all of a sudden I'm realizing how much it's taking out of me and how much I'm not like bouncing back from things. And so one of the things that I did was I talked to my job about going part-time, which is not really a thing at my firm, but they were open to it. And I've gotten to cut down to 5 hours a day. So we're 25 hours a week. And so I get more time with my son in the morning. And then I get a little bit of like a couple hours to write. And so, yeah, I guess the rambly answer there is that I've started trying to balance it by really pushing back on the things that I can and just trying to give myself grace. I love writing. I have so many stories outlined right now, so many things I want to launch into, but I want to commit myself to this anthology and getting it completely done in the right way and not half-ass it,
Yeah.
Are you getting approached a lot to be on these projects, or are you pushing any back that you just realize you don't have enough time?
Like for working on anthologies?
Yes. Forwards and thought blurbs, anything like that.
Oh, yeah. That kind of thing. Yeah. Forwards and blurbs. And contribute, invitations to anthologies, which is,
Mhm.
I mean, gosh, that's a wonderful thing. That's such an amazing thing when someone offers you that, because it's such a trust too,
Right.
that you're going to put together something that is worthy of what they want, and it's going to, fit in with things. So that is, yeah, that's absolutely, it's great and it's lovely. And as far as blurbs, I have such a hard time saying no to that, because gosh, people have blurbed me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I feel like in a lot of ways, that I just haven't done that much to deserve. This is going to sound awful, but it's just, I feel like, I don't know. I just think that there are so many authors in the indie field who don't get the recognition that they really deserve. Because I mean, their books, their work is just blow you away fantastic. And I feel like, even though I don't know why anyone would care what I had to say about anything, if they, if they think that will help them, then I want to help. So for the
Yeah.
most part, I do have a hard time saying no to it. I have, just for the last little bit, had to start saying no. And just because I won't be able to write anything if I don't. And one
Right.
of the biggest things, I have a really hard time saying no. And this is something that I've like recently kind of realized about myself. Like, I sort of like equate being a little bit like self-worth with like how useful I am, if that makes sense. Like, and it's a lot like in a work standpoint and everything too. And I realized, it's kind of drilling it down, and it's like you have this weird unconscious fear that if you say no, that people won't like you, or that they're going to
Yeah.
get mad at you.
Don't want to disappoint somebody.
Yeah. But the thing is, the people that I have had to start saying no to have been so gracious and so kind about that, and very like, oh, I totally understand. And I can't even tell you how much that means to me, that that there's somebody who, I don't know, it seems like it's simple, but it was just sort of eye-opening for me, that it's like, oh, people actually will continue to interact with you, even if.
Well, I mean, they got to see that they have lives too, so they have to know you have a life, and so, I mean, in order to blurb a book, you would think you want to read some of it at least, right? And
Yeah.
so, I mean, that's all
I
time. That's time
Yeah,
consuming.
always.
So they have to realize, as long as it took them to write it, you mean it's going to take you a few hours, maybe a few days to read it. They realize you have a life, and then they see your name floating all over the place. My 20-minute intro, you're doing so much stuff, so they have to know you're kind of busy.
Yeah. And I don't think it was ever a matter. I've never felt pressured to do one,
Mhm.
It was all very internal. And part of it really is just like, Jonathan Jans is somebody that I really look up to, and is somebody that I, in some ways, kind of wanted to model how I acted, how I behaved within this community, because he's so keen on, giving a hand up. And I really value that. And that's something I want to do too. And I had to just start realizing that no one person, can do it for everybody. So
Uh-huh.
Right.
it's more, being judicious about it. But yeah, it's finding that balance is definitely interesting. Takes a lot of work.
Chris has a question on here. How do you feel about beta readers? Do you used beta readers at all for Crossroads or Whispers?
I do. Yeah, I do use beta readers. And I do some beta reading as well.
Just another check. Blurbs,
Yeah.
reviews, beta reads.
Just go ahead and post your resume for us.
I think that they can be invaluable. But I think that you have to sometimes find your groove with who's actually, who you're going to connect well with it.
Yeah.
Because there's ways in which you can, hey Josh, there's ways in which you can phrase things, or how you present the advice, or, how much advice you give. And some people are just not going to mesh well with that, and some of it depends on whether you get their voice. Like, I know for sure, like, I have a few different beta readers that I try not to, like, really overwhelm any one person.
Do you use the same ones all the time, or do you kind of mix it up?
I kind of mix it up, and a lot of that has to do with like what type of story it is. I have one really good friend who's an amazing beta reader. She's great, and I know the kind of stuff that she likes, so I'll be like, okay, since I want this to have that kind of a vibe, I want her feel for, is it doing that? Is it hitting the spot, for people who like this type of thing?
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of beta readers, and yeah, because you're not ever going to see everything yourself.
Do
definitely
you
not.
do you give them a guideline of what you're looking for up front, though? I mean, because I've been asked before to beta read, and I've turned it down because I'm thinking, okay, they're not going to want me to point out all these grammatical errors because I'm not the editor, or they're not going to want me to tell them, if I was writing it, I would change this around and this around, because it's still their writing. So, I mean, do you give like a guideline of what you're looking for from the beta readers, or do they just go into a blind and just tell you, you see what sticks?
Well, for the most part, and again, this is one of these things where you kind of develop a little bit of a working relationship sometimes, where it's like, or they know that somebody can take it. It's like, yeah, say whatever you want. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. But like, I mostly look for overarching notes on logic. Hey, Max. Logic, and like, does the pacing work? Does the overall stuff work? And sometimes I'll get like internal, like, and I'll give this kind of thing too, like not grammatical stuff, but I don't know, this dialogue doesn't ring true. I don't think she'd think this. I don't think she'd feel this. It doesn't ring right for the character. So yeah, and different people want different things, but generally the rule is you're not really looking for grammatical stuff. My friend James Sabata will always he'll only ever point out what he calls the invisible typos, which is like the ones that, has slightly changed to make a different word. So spell check is never going to catch it, so.
Yeah. Right.
But otherwise, yeah, we tend to leave that stuff alone.
But I've seen some with like the way, like in dialogue, and I've mentioned before to some writers, like that dialogue doesn't flow properly. There's some like you're having a conversation between two people and they sound like robots, and I try to think of like the right way to tell them that. And then I've had, one person kind of get upset, like, well, that's because you're thinking of dialogue where you're living. I'm thinking of where I'm living. And I'm like, we're both in the United States. It's not floating. It's not working. So
I can, without having read it, and I may be wrong, but one thing that I come across a lot and was completely guilty of until someone pointed it out to me was a lack of contractions in speech. A lot of people when they're writing, and particularly like at the beginning, they will not use contractions in speech, and you don't even notice, because when you're reading it to yourself, that sounds right. But that often has like a sort of robotic, like,
exactly.
Just not
very stilted
flow.
Because in the olden days, we they didn't use them, right? Do not instead of don't, but now you use them without even thinking about it. So
yeah. So it's good, I think, to read your dialogue out loud if you can, and kind of try and see where that how it might actually sound out loud.
The one beta read I did for somebody, I won't say who it was, but they were kind of what you said. They wanted to know like if there was continuity errors, like inconsistencies, and then if we liked the content, like what worked for us, what didn't. And they said, if you find any typos, you can let me know. If you don't want to worry about that, don't worry about it. But I was like, I have to pick out, if I see a typo, like I have to, like, hey, there's a typo right here. I have
to
look at it. No, I'm not gonna say who it is.
Tell us.
No,
we've broke every other rule in all the shows. So
it was Chad Lutzke. I already read one of his things.
Nice.
And I gave him feedback. I guess he liked it. I mean, he emailed me back and said, I appreciate your feedback and whatnot. And he did make, not saying it was based off me, but he did make changes in the story based off what the beta readers as a whole said.
Just by the way, I mean, that was really easy to get that out of you. I mean, you seemed like it was like a big
pretty
secret.
I'm pretty sure he said it before. I mean, if you look in the back of the book, I'm pretty sure my name is in there for a beta reader, so it's not a secret. So,
so simple. No secrets for you, Brad.
Oh, I've got secrets, Jay.
I know. So last time we spoke 2 months ago. It's been 2 months, Laurel.
And look, we're at Labor Day weekend now. We do our holiday weekends. That's what it is.
What was
right?
What was it? What it was?
July
4th.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? You mentioned a novella. you were working on? Is it finished? I don't see it.
Oh,
Where's
God,
my
no.
Where's my copy?
Nothing's finished. Nothing's
Okay.
finished. No.
Well, I mean, what are you doing with my 35-minute intro I just gave you?
I'm working.
The
on
intro
it.
keeps getting longer every time. It was 5 minutes, it was 20, now it's 35.
It's all the time you put into it.
Tease us
I
about
was
this
just
novella you're
wondering.
working on.
Yeah, I was just wondering because it's been 2 months, and I was just wondering where this new novella is. So, in a novel, I thought we talked about a novel too.
Yes. Now that
yes.
is being shopped. That is
Okay.
with Tor Nightfire right now.
Oh, dope.
Which they'll probably pass on, honestly. Just because of the sheer amount that they get.
They're missing out if they pass on it.
But well, it'd be cool, but it's like I want it to find the right home. So if they end up passing on it, then yeah, I'm gonna.
Can we say the title of that one? Are we allowed? Or
Silent Key.
Okay, I was just going to say the initials.
What's it called again? I'm sorry.
Silent Key.
Silent Key. Okay.
With my headset, it just keeps sliding. So let me know if you end up not hearing me because my microphone's in my mouth or something weird. But
Can you tease what that one's about at all? Or are you allowed to say just
Silent Key? Oh well, yeah. I mean, no one's told me not to. But
Tor Nightfire is going to be be and they're like, "Hey, no,
you ain't
we're not
got
that
it
popular."
Yet.
Yeah, we're not that popular, Brad. No.
No, we're not that popular.
Or you are, but I'm not. So
no, I'm not.
It's your show.
It is.
So it's kind of more comparable, I think, to Whispers in the Dark than it is to anything like Crossroads. It's kind of more actiony. My main character is a woman named Cam who was a detective until very recently. She's had to leave her job and her husband was killed and her life just kind of generally upended. So she moves with her daughter and her sort of adoptive brother out to Texas to try and, start over. And we all know how well things like that go. So
it always goes peachy every single time.
Absolutely. Every time. Yes. So it's just kind of, there's a lot of ghosties and there's a lot of kind of mysteries to solve and a lot of horrible deaths.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's kind of where that one goes. So it's another kind of paranormal suspense kind of thing.
Do you like writing detectives? Because this one sounds like a detective. Whispers in the Dark was, and you had a short story posted on one of the websites. Was from a female detective sort of perspective. So do you like that, doing the detective characters?
I do. And
do you want to be a detective?
I actually did try out for the Lexington Police Department in my 20s.
Nice.
I failed, which in retrospect is probably good. No wood chippers now, Bo. I'm leaving that to you. I'm never going to take your wood chipper. Your
stacking bodies like wood.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of it just had to do with I read a lot of mystery novels, a lot of serial mysteries too. I used to read a lot of P.D. James, Ian Rankin, all of that kind of stuff. And so I think that's where my mind kind of was when I started writing. With Silent Key, it was sort of more of a thing where it became like something she was adjusting to was not being that anymore.
Okay.
And the more that I write, the more I tend to do sort of, because I realized when you do that, you're a little bit limited, in how they act and the situations that they get in, things like that. And to me, I kind of wanted to explore more, a little bit of an everyman kind of a thing.
Right.
That seems to be fitting my writing style more often, the more I do.
Right.
Was there anything creatively different with the whispers themselves that you wanted to do different than just your normal kind of ghost or specter? Because they are different than your average haunted house or whatever. The whispers themselves and that one.
Yeah, I wanted to have something that was that sort of held it all together. That was the reason, why things were going on. And I think in large part, the kind of the idea for it came, I think, from a number of part of it is, did you know that if cats sneeze in the middle of the night in an empty house, it sounds like someone fucking whispering under your couch? So
you have true life experience with that there?
Apparently, yes. Yeah. And that time it turned out to be cats, and I'm really glad. But I was watching Hannibal And so it was horrifying. So yeah, I mean, and it's a little bit hard now, to think back. It's been a little while, but yeah, I just kind of wanted something that held the story together, that held the framework together. And so to me, that seemed right, as far as like what was really there.
What's going on in the novella that's not finished yet? What's that all about? Not that it's not finished. I mean, I'm talking about. Are you allowed to tell us about a little bit of the plot?
Oh, I mean, I will. Like I said, nobody owns me, but
you don't know me. Shoot, we've got all ghetto in our show about books.
Well, either that, or
Ghetto
I don't have any clear sense of decorum. So I am that person who commonly says things I shouldn't if no one has told me directly not to. So no one has told me directly not to. But so I actually have like 4 or possibly 5 novellas that are like kind of outlined and like started. So I think the one that I mentioned earlier was one that was kind of like I didn't want to write anything pandemic based, and it's not really based on that, but I just realized kind of partway through that it was my reality for so long. And part of it was I took my son down to see my sister. And it was like a 3-hour drive. And I mean, it's fine. He's such a good little traveler. But I realized like we had to stop at a rest stop. And it's like June. So I'm like, June of 2020. So I'm like, okay, it's totally rampant. It's everywhere. I'm about to go into a public restroom. He's 2. I can't leave him in the car.
Right.
I've got a mask. Does he have one? He's not wearing shoes. Like all this silly stuff. Like, and, I realized like, he wouldn't put his shoes back on. So I'm carrying this, kid in front, and I've got a really heavy backpack because I just took it everywhere. And I'm, in the stalls and all this kind of stuff. And it's just utter chaos. And I was just thinking about like how much harder it made things. And kind of the whole, like, it takes a village kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because people just have different setups with what kind of support systems they have, and, whether they have anyone to help. And, just kind of realizing that it just gets hard. It gets really, really hard, and it gets very overwhelming. So I started writing this, kind of about how you deal with that, and kind of like about, the fact that you're not really alone, even when you feel you are. And even though people might not be physically next to you, as for most of us, no one was during the pandemic, we couldn't get together. Right. So yeah, just kind of, looking at that kind of thing and going there. That just rambled and went absolutely nowhere.
No, I mean, you're showing us how the pandemic
is
affected. Yeah,
it's bathroom horror. Yes, that's what it is. I'm going to bathroom horror next.
The pandemic has affected your writing, basically. So it wasn't I mean, yours is legit. It's not like one of these COVID erotica.
Kissing the COVID virus or whatever those things are. That's atrocious.
I think it was that show 2 months ago. I found out that was a real thing, right?
Yeah, there's like a series of them. They're like smut novels of kissing the coronavirus. I think that's what it's called.
Are they on Kindle Unlimited? Because I'm going
to probably you could. They're not space erotica, so you can't read them, Jay. They're not space erotica. They're pandemic erotica.
They're pandemic erotica.
Like who would ever thought that would be a genre, pandemic erotica? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think you already hit that. But yeah, but I mean, as far as like the horror elements of it, because I realized I'm just like, and then anyway, sisters and people and love and disease. But, kind of the horror element of it's just like dealing with something that kind of wants your, that maybe is coming after your kid or coming after you, and just kind of how you deal with that when you feel like you're isolated.
Did Bo just trademark the bathroom horror?
I think he did.
I mean, because I love bathroom humor. I mean, they're 2 different things. So
yeah. Yeah. In fact, Haley Piper has a story in her recent collection, Unfortunate Elements of My Anatomy, that is definitely TM. See, I saw that, Red. It's definitely bathroom humor, but now I'm dying because she just touched me.
Exactly. Yeah. She's had a couple in there. She said you talked about a lot of deaths and we all smiled.
Yeah.
Earlier. A lot of killings and everyone's like, yes.
Yeah.
Horrible deaths. This one.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, geez.
So you have 5 outlines of novellas. Do you?
I think 5. And I'm actually a little bit like kind of trying to decide what to work on when I do get to a stopping point with the anthology.
Well, I mean, that's September. What are you going to do in October?
Oh, write another 5, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Just throw-
Maybe
just
2
throw
more
those
novels.
in
I don't
there.
know.
Do you find it easier to write a novella since you have a lot of those planned out as opposed to a full-length novel?
I think that there's a simplicity to it. I feel like it's something that I can kind of crank out a little bit faster. And kind of realize the idea sooner, but it's also like a lot of them was just kind of the story that that I wanted to tell that I feel like would fit in that. I'm working on one that is coal mining related.
Nice.
And that's one that I could really, just see where it was going. But I feel like, again, that it's going to just work best in a very like linear type novella setup. So yeah, I've got that one. I've got a splatter Western one I'm working on.
Everyone we talk to has a splatter Western.
Right? They're
Do you
just all
actually,
over the
is it
place.
with Death's Head Press, or are you just doing it on your own? Or you're not allowed to say? We keep asking, are you allowed to say?
You tell us.
I know they had the big pitch tweet, I don't know, a couple of months ago where they said their, submissions were open, pitch them things and they might approve them or not.
Yeah. And then I don't know how many of them. Yeah, we had talked about it. I don't know for sure that I'll be able to deliver on it. I hope I can. It's just like, my gosh. And again, like, trying to decide, I have another one that I pitched to an unnamed publisher. Who
Oh, see, she can't say this one.
Oh yeah, that one I'm not going to say.
Just goes the initials.
No.
But that I'm really excited about, and that's one I kind of, and it's very, it's kind of about an entity that that I encountered actually when I was much younger. I don't want to like talk about it too much or give too much away, but it was just something that that was very present in an apartment that I lived in, and was very, very deeply creepy, and thankfully did not follow me. I believe it was attached to someone else because it left at the same time.
So do you believe in the ghosts and supernatural then?
Yes. Yeah, very much so. But I think one thing that I'm a little bit interested in too is that I think that some of the things that we experience aren't necessarily like an alternate entity or like its own thing. I think that it's quite possible for someone to project, and not like, not like meaning to, like, it's not like they have this power, that they can do, but I think that people can project things, or kind of just have like a darkness to them. And some of that has to do, because I really feel like so much of this is based on emotion. Because we've all experienced it. Like, you can walk into a room or be in a room where people have been having like a vicious argument, and it's just, you can just feel it, you can just feel it in the air. And I think that that's really true for a lot of things, and I think the more that I think about it, the more I believe that that's what a lot of that stuff is based on. So
do you watch ghost hunting shows and all that kind of stuff?
I have in the past. I haven't had an opportunity to watch that many. I loved Paranormal State.
Okay.
That was one of my favorite ones.
My wife and I used to watch Ghost Adventures all the time. I don't know why. We just
which one was it with the 2 plumbers? Do you remember that one?
They were called Taps. I don't know what Taps is. There's Taps in Kentucky. I guess they're everywhere, but I've seen Taps fans in like Lexington and stuff before. They have a little Taps logo on the side.
My wife will watch all of those, like every single one. She'll watch all of them, but I cannot get her to watch horror movies with me. But she'll watch every single one of those paranormal, hunting, ghost adventure things.
I don't believe in ghosts personally. I'm not saying that they don't exist. I've just never encountered anything to make me believe in it. I'm like, I have to see it to believe it kind of guy. But I still find the shows fascinating for some reason. I don't know why.
Red Sanderson, Mario Brothers.
The plumbers. They're Taps. One of them's bald. I know who you're talking about. They're the Taps guys, but I don't know what
I think they broke up, and now they both have
back.
a show, and I think, exactly.
I do.
Max
go ahead.
You go ahead. Finish your story.
I was just gonna say, I can't even remember what ghost show it was, but it was one of my favorite because like a lot of this is a little bit silly. Like, they have like the camera pointed at themselves. It's like green screen, and you just see a guy going, "What was that?"
Yeah.
But, the whole time you're like, I don't know because I can't see anything. But there was one great one where this poor guy, he's like, I think he was like from Boston or something. He had this real thick accent. He's like, he didn't want to do it. He was there with his family. They sent him like down all the way to the base. He's like, Furniture's moving. That's not
Just
good.
with the accent.
Yeah, she's like, oh God, it's still moving. I don't like this. And then, this poor guy, I'm just like, God, who dragged him into this? That's probably my favorite ghost hunting episode of anything. Because it's, apparently quite a bit happened to that poor dude.
I always like it when they're like, there's something floating. I'm like, yeah, it's dust. You're in the prison that nobody's been in for like
The orbs
50 years. There's a lot of dirt.
Don't breathe too deeply.
Or when
the
they
show you're
listen
talking
to
about is called Ghost Hunters.
Is that what it is?
Hunters. I think so.
Or when they listen to the sound, they're listening to it on the same audio editing program that I have on my computer right now. They're listening to it like, did you hear that? I'm like, I didn't hear anything. It felt like somebody scratching their microphone. They're like, no, it said get out. I'm like, what?
Like I said, I don't believe it, but I like to watch the show. And the Ghost Adventures, I met them at Scarefest a few times. They were pretty cool in person. Yeah, Zach, Aaron, and Nick, they were pretty cool guys.
I need to. I was thinking lately that's something I want to watch more of.
Yeah, because you went on the ghost hunt recently, didn't you? Like last month or so.
Yes,
that's right. I forgot all about
that. Did you all find any evidence?
Good research, Brad.
Did any EVPs or anything?
We did do an EVP. We didn't do that till the morning. We did our hunts at night. And there was just that one room that really, really creeped me out. And so we decided we weren't going to do EVP stuff in the night.
That's when you're supposed to do it, Laurel, at nighttime.
I know, but
y'all spent the night there too, right?
Yes, yeah. We're old and tired, and so yeah.
Ghost, just leave me alone. We'll talk in the morning.
Yeah, so we did, but there was one bedroom and it was not the one I expected, but there was one bedroom that we sat in, and we would just ask questions and then go back and listen to it, let it be for a while. And we didn't hear anything while we were doing it, but on one of them, when we went back and listened to it, there was a man's voice who responded in a very low kind of rumble, and it was interesting because. I wouldn't stake my life that that's absolutely what that was, but it was very, very silent in there. It was very an isolated place. It's a very small town. There just wasn't much of that sort of residual noise. So it was interesting and it was in direct response to a question that we asked. So I don't know. It was interesting.
Have you been to Waverly at all?
No, I still need to though.
Waverly. I've been to the actual when they do the tours, and then they used to have a haunted house in there. I don't know if they still do that or not, but it's the death chute's pretty creepy going down the death chute.
We have the prison up here that my wife won't go to.
The state penitentiary.
Yeah, where they shot Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's about 45 minutes from me. Yeah, but she won't go with me. Well, she'll go to daytime. She won't go to one of those overnight retreats they do. So
Waverly's such a cool the building is just massive because it's so long, but it's not very deep. But it's such a cool building.
It is, yeah. The style of it is beautiful too. Yeah.
But Max had a question up here. I keep skipping over it. Are you going to? Is there a plan for a Whisper sequel at all?
Not at the moment, because I sort of feel like Rose's story is kind of told.
Max, she has a novel and 5 novellas ready to go. Come on. Maybe for October.
Yeah, give me a full month.
You could do an offshoot novella.
Yeah,
there you go. I've considered
side mission.
Well, I've actually considered it a little bit because I feel so sorry for poor Luke. So I kind of I almost want to give him his own little story, but yeah, it's not something that's really kind of come up yet.
So you feel like Rose's story's wrapped up then?
It feels like it, yeah. And I mean, I'm not somebody that says, "Oh, my characters tell me where to go." I don't have any control. You can guide it, but there's definitely a matter of how they're speaking to you. And also, I'd like to backtrack and say anyone who does write that way, I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying it doesn't work.
Stephen King.
Yes, Stephen. See if that works for you, dude.
Yeah. He might sell a book. I don't know.
I'm gonna tag him on this. See if I'll watch it.
Yeah.
So do you? Would you ever want to revisit her world? Not necessarily her as a character, but just sort of the world of the Whispers at all, or were they unique to Rose?
Hey, don't give it away. Ever read it?
Well, you don't know what I'm talking about. There's whispers.
I'm gonna read it.
It's just cats sneezing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would or not, just because I feel like I feel like there's like just a specific world built in kind of each of these, setups. Now, Silent
Mhm.
Key is one that has its own sort of supernatural setup and setting. And that is one that as soon as I got done writing Silent Key, I was like, okay, I'm going back. I wasn't planning on
Nice.
it, but it was just what, spoke to me next. And so I ended up I've written three and a half of those, and there's like probably up to like 7 or 8 like kind of ideas like kind of sketched out for it, which who knows if any of them will ever see the light of day, but it was really a joy to be in there. And then I did the rewrite of it last year, with the notes and assistance of Ryan Lewis, who is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I was never going to get that right. It was just always going to be too long. And he was just so good at being like, okay, well, here's what you need to aim for, and here's what you need here. And I was like, thank you.
So is this the beginning of the Hightower multiverse through the Silent Key?
Ooh, maybe.
This is breaking news right here, isn't it?
Yeah.
I might have to write more than 3 books for it to be considered multiverse. But yeah, I mean, if any of those saw the light of day, like, I don't know. Yeah. I think it's exciting because I feel like in some ways when you build a world in which the supernatural is a thing, then it just opens all these doors, and you don't have to rebuild that suspension of disbelief every time.
Yeah.
It's more just like, hey, this is the world. Now, I still think it needs rules. I still think you can't just like, be shooting ghosts out of a hand cannon or whatever. It's, you need to have an explanation for how things are going. But I don't know. I really liked that world that I built, and I liked every book I've gotten to expand on different characters and, kind of bring them out more. And the people that have read Silent Key, their favorite always tends to be Demi, who is her adopted Russian brother, because he's a complete pain in the ass and incredibly rude and just super
Like
fun.
Russians are, right? That's just the Russian stereotype.
Come on.
Stereotype.
No, but just this guy in particular is. And I cheated a little bit because my stepson is his mother is Russian. So I was able to be like, okay, I need to know this phrase and I need to know how this works. And it's, we do make him perform like a monkey sometimes. Speak the Russian. Tell us the Russian.
Perform.
Problem with a bottle of vodka.
Yeah. He's a bourbon drinker like me.
Oh, there you go.
All right, you want to do a game or you want to do a reading?
Laurel can pick. What do you want to do? Play a game, or do you want to do a reading?
I can do a real quick reading, and we do a game, or if that's up to you. I feel like that's almost like a narcissistic choice. It's like, should we all have fun, or should I simply?
Oh no, you're gonna do both, or just
Yeah.
do you want to do which one do you want to do first, basically?
Oh, let's do the reading real quick. Get that
The contract, you have to play the game, and
you didn't read the contract, did you?
She didn't read the fine print.
No.
It's really small. It even says Jay's a co-host in there. Really small fine print.
Definitely missed that fine print.
Yeah.
I work for lawyers and have for a really long time. And so it's always funny to me, like, you'll be out and like have to sign a contract for something and they'll get like all impatient when I'm reading. I'm like, excuse me, there's no chance that I'll be signing this without reading it fully and probably providing feedback on how it's phrased. But, okay. So this is Blacklist Binding. It's in the Gothic Blue Book, Volume 6, A Krampus Carol from Burial Day Press. I'm just going to read the first one. Yes. Yeah. I love Cena. Despite the 17 recorded deaths that had taken place in Helmhurst's long history, the manor wasn't haunted. Not in the traditional sense, which had always been a source of disappointment for Claudia, both when she'd visited many years ago as a young girl, and now a respected matron and property owner of 42 Summers. It might have been expected that she would grow out of that childish fixation, a thrill of anticipation as she climbed those steep stone steps, a creeping dread as the huge wooden doors creaked open before her. The obvious neglect of the past decade only added to her enjoyment. All the furniture draped in dusty white sheets, cobwebs fluttering from every corner, and the musty scent of abandonment. Still, though, no matter where she searched, no matter what dark stories of the manor's past she dug up, Claudia never did see a ghost. And though both her grandfather and her aunt had died behind these walls in the meantime, she didn't expect that to change today. No, Claudia was after something more tangible on her first trip back to Helmhurst since her grandfather's wake. A book. the book. The one her parents had all but convinced her didn't exist. She'd been 7 when she last saw it, easy to remember since it was the year of the accident. A blocked chimney flue had contributed 5 deaths to Helmhurst's impressive total. Claudia felt the same shrinking guilt she always did when she remembered the fire, the way the bodies of the servants had looked as they were pulled from the smoke-scorched attics. It had been 35 years, and as an adult, she knew it hadn't been her fault, not really. She could look into the past and forgive a frightened 7-year-old who didn't understand what she'd seen. It didn't stop that cringing pain, the certainty that the tragedy could have been prevented. The book had shown her the way. Maybe it could again. "I know you're here," Claudia said to the empty house, in a soft tone without echo. There was no response, but she felt a quickening in the atmosphere and smiled. It wanted to be found. So that's just a little intro portrait.
Nice.
Dun, dun, dun.
So is that actually a Christmas time story since it's the Krampus book, or does it not actually have to do with Christmas?
It's a gothic. So like it was just kind of like you could either do like Krampus or you could do like a gothic. I feel like there was one other option. But yeah, I went with the gothic.
Is that the first time you've written in sort of that time period?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those things. It's a lot of times what kept happening with short story calls would be I would see it and be like, oh, that's cool. Pfft, I could never write a gothic. 2 days later, I get this idea and I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of got.
Should have done it.
Thank you, Priscilla.
So that's in book 6.
Mm-hmm.
How many books are there?
6.
6. Yeah.
Okay.
They used to do one a year. I don't know if they'll do another one for this year or not.
I think she was saying she's going to do one in like February of next year for Valentine's Day.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember her saying that. Cool. So you want to play a game now?
Yep, what are we going to play?
We're going to do some. Jay said you were a horror movie aficionado, is what he told me.
I don't.
So we're gonna play some. We're gonna play some horror movie trivia.
Am I going against her or?
Sure.
You already win. You already win.
Y'all can go against each other.
I did not look at the questions either. I keep forgetting that we have them, that we can look at them, but I forget. Like, let's do this.
So we're gonna play some horror movie trivia.
There's that budget.
These are pretty simple. They're not super hard. Like I felt like we did last week was really hard questions.
What did we do last week?
I don't even remember. You shouldn't ask me.
What did we do?
I don't remember what I did earlier in the day, let alone last week.
Who's our guest last week?
I don't remember. Jay.
Oh, it was Marcella. Okay.
Marcella. Yeah, the Stephen King. Stephen King quotes. Stephen King quotes.
Those were some hard quotes. Stephen King quotes?
Well, he's a big Stephen King fan. He can go knock on his door, like next door, say, "Hey, Stevie, what's the answers?"
It's pretty bad. We've done what, 11 episodes?
Oh, 11.
I forgot who our guest was last week.
Literally, I could not tell you what I ate for lunch today, Jay.
I don't even know what today's day is. So,
or the word for it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how to talk.
All right, we're gonna do some horror movie trivia. We'll let Laurel try to answer first. If she doesn't get it, Jay will go. They're pretty simple ones.
Okay.
So, what classic horror movie features a serial killer in a William Shatner mask?
Oh, Halloween.
Halloween. He probably lives not too far from you. He lives in Versailles, doesn't he?
I believe so. Yeah, and he used to go to a restaurant that one of my girlfriends worked at.
William Shatner?
Yep.
Yeah, he has a big horse ranch here in Kentucky.
You should have got him to do the audiobook for Crossroads.
No, that would have been horrible.
I think that's not the tone I was looking for.
No, see, Steve, who's in the chat now, he was interviewing Joshua Marcella earlier and talking about getting scratches, I think, in audiobook. I put in there. I don't know if that was a conversation or not because I was half listening. But
Steve, you're on the hook now, Steve.
Yeah, exactly. So I put in the chat. How about William Shatner or Christopher Walken? But nobody laughed. I was kind of upset about that. I was listen to.
Get an audiobook.
I would still listen to audiobooks by them. Just. I totally went off on a.
You're ruining the game, Jay. Come on now.
Look, I'm going to dismiss myself now.
No, I answered the right question, so we can end my streak right here.
She's one to know. All right, next up. How many people associated with the Exorcist production died during the production of the movie?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea.
You mean multiple choice it for you?
Yeah.
So was it 3 people, 12 people, 6 people, or 9 people died during production of The Exorcist?
I'm gonna go with 3.
Incorrect.
Jay.
9?
9 people died during the production of The Exorcist.
Just guess.
Died during that. I'd heard a lot about Poltergeist, but not Exorcist.
It says, by the end of the film's production, 9 people associated with its making had passed away, including Jack McGowan, who played Burke Dennings, Linda Blair's grandfather, a night watchman on set, and a special effects expert, to name a few. That movie's cursed. I would never have anything else to do with it because they're making, I don't know, they're doing a TV show or something, and the lady who played Reagan's mom is coming back. Yeah, the original
They already
actress.
tried it, didn't they? I thought he tried it several years
No,
back.
it's something recent, like they just were talking about a couple months ago.
No, but I think they tried a TV series once for it. Like, I mean,
yeah, they canceled it already. But this was like a movie or something they're doing, and Linda Blair's coming back.
Stop it. Like she's still on Social Security now, I think, isn't she?
Probably. Next question. What horror film was the first movie to show a woman in just a bra and a slip?
Psycho?
Psycho.
I didn't know what a slip was. I was like, what?
Oh, you're a dude, and slips were like an 80s thing? 80s and earlier? I mean, I feel like someone still has them, but I don't.
But still, I mean, I think I'm the oldest one here. So I should have known.
You are old, yeah.
But I don't imagine you wore slips.
I didn't wear slips, no.
Easter.
No. At least I don't, not anymore, you know.
Not anymore.
My therapist said that I can't do it anymore, so.
I mean, you don't really need them.
Yeah. Who knows? Tomorrow's Saturday. I don't know.
How many people does Jason kill in the first Friday the 13th film?
Oh, he doesn't kill anybody, does he?
That's right. 0 people.
Boom.
It's all his mom. Trick question. Trick question.
And I even got it. I'm so impressed with myself. Now I'm gonna flub the next one.
In Scream, what is rule number 1 on Randy's list of rules for surviving a horror movie?
You gonna talk about Fight Club?
Wrong movie, Jay.
Oh.
I mean, I remember some. Like, I don't know if I remember what the first one was, but like,
You have a multiple choice?
You have multiple choice?
Like, I'll just name one, and you can tell me whether it's right or not. But I know like one is never say I'll be right back.
That's one of them. It was not number 1 though.
Does not surprise me. All right, Jay, go for it.
It's the number 1 rule for surviving a horror movie. Whoever does this in movies always get killed every single time.
You don't go to the bathroom by yourself?
No. That is one of them, but don't have sex is the number 1 rule.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Every single time they get killed. What was the original title for the movie The Blob?
I have no idea, but small bit of trivia. That was the first Laurel Hightower horror movie. That was the first one I ever watched, and I was 2 years old.
The original?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure.
Black and white?
Yeah.
I think there's one in the 70s also. So
maybe that might have been that.
Did you know that Rob Zombie was going to remake The Blob, but it got canned?
Oh, I like his work.
That would have been such a bizarre movie.
I would have watched it.
Oh, yeah. Jay, do you know what the original title for The Blob would have been? It's very similar sounding to what it actually turned out to be.
The Glob?
The Glob.
Was it?
It was.
Was it?
Really?
Yeah. It's The Glob.
Nice. That's awesome.
What horror movie features a serial killer wearing a mask inspired by an Edvard Munch painting? I believe the title of the movie is, I believe, what the painting is called as well.
Scream.
Yeah, the face.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So you're doing better at this than you thought.
I never knew that was what that was based on, but I could sort of like
You could see it in like
now,
the shape of it.
I'm picturing the actual painting now.
Yeah.
Wow.
In Poltergeist, what grabs Robbie Freely through his bedroom window?
The tree.
The tree.
Yeah.
This one might be tough. How much screen time does Freddy Krueger get in the first A Nightmare on Elm Street movie? How many minutes is he on screen? I can do multiple choice if you want.
How many minutes? Say that again.
How many minutes was Freddy Krueger on screen during the original Nightmare on Elm Street?
Probably longer than Michael Keaton was in Beetlejuice.
What was it?
Going
What
out
was
there,
this?
I don't know.
Are you making that up? You don't have no idea.
No, we. A side note: we watched that. It's been ages since I watched that. So we watched it last weekend. I want to say. I think he was in it like 8 minutes or something like that.
It's most of the
close.
Gina Davis and
Yeah,
Todd Baldwin show.
I was sad, but go ahead.
I'll give you multiple choice for this one. Was
Okay.
it 14 minutes, 21 minutes, 7 minutes, or 3.5 minutes? For how long Freddy was actually on screen?
I'm gonna go with 3.5.
Incorrect.
Doesn't surprise me.
14.
It was 7.
Really?
Only 7 minutes. Which is crazy considering he's the main bad guy.
Right. But Jason was only in part 1,
For like 30 seconds.
Yeah. Just had to do the whole.
Well, and I mean, so much of the fear element is contained in the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's generally wise. Like, if you immediately like reveal your big bad and everyone knows what's going on, it kind of pulls the punch a little bit.
Yeah.
How long was he on screen in the remake?
Oh, I have no idea.
I just totally messing with you.
All right. I think this is the last one. Why can't Michael Myers be killed? And this is when the movie started taking a turn for the worst. When this was implemented.
Is he a spaceman or something?
He's a cyborg.
No, that was Jason. Jason went to space.
Jason.
He did. That was funny.
The movie was awful.
That was a comedy.
So I don't actually know, but I'm interested to know.
You want multiple choice?
No, let's let Jay. I want to know what Jay has to say.
Jay, what's your guess?
I need a multiple choice. Well,
you need multiple choice?
Yeah.
Okay. He's a god. He's a ghost. He's an ancient druid curse, or he's just lucky.
I kind of want to say the third one, only because that kind of ties. I don't know. Just what's the answer?
It's an ancient druid curse. Remember when,
Oh,
like
you're
part
right.
4, he started getting that weird like triangle tattoo on his hand, and it got really bizarre after
Yeah,
that.
Some of that sounded familiar. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, one and 2 are the best, and then after that, they're not very good.
Right. 3 doesn't have anything to do with anything else. So
That's Season of the Witch, right?
yeah.
Yeah, Silver Shamrock. Last one. Which horror movie was filmed in just 7 days? It's more recent, like within the last, well, I guess it's old now, maybe last 15 years.
I was about to say We Need to Do Something by Max Booth because I knew that was pretty short. 7 days. Okay, so the last 15 years. Because I would have guessed Host.
It was super popular when it came out, and there's been multiple movies, multiple iterations after the first one.
Does it have its own universe?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
I don't think I have any idea, so I'm just going to throw out there. I think what's had a bunch of like sequels in the last 15 years though. Oh, Paranormal Activity?
That's right, Paranormal Activity.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, that's.
Was
See,
filmed
I
in
was
7
thinking.
days.
I was thinking of Conjuring when I said the universe because it's got the
yeah.
Annabelle and that whole universe. So okay.
Because there's different like versions of Paranormal Activity now. There's like I don't remember what it's called. There's like the Mexican one, like La Llorona or whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called. The woman.
Yeah.
But
and they did like a Paranormal Activity type thing with that?
yeah, it was Paranormal Activity and it had like
That was
the
like that's
subtitle
like
underneath
part
of it.
4 or something like that, wasn't it?
Part 4, part 5, something like that.
Yeah, I think the first 3 were all connected pretty good, but after that I stopped. So
Yeah, it had the same guy in at least the first 2 or 3.
Yeah.
The camcorder.
I feel like I know I did at least 2, maybe 3. And I think I liked them pretty well.
Yeah.
They were like kind of different, but I did feel after a certain amount of time, there's only so much you can do with that. But
Yeah. I think it was the second one when they're in the kitchen, all the cabinets exploded out. Like that made me jump pretty hard.
yeah.
Well, that was our very anticlimactic.
I know. It was
trivia
like,
game.
boy, it just took the air out of everything. Ah.
Well,
Well, Justin said there's a new paranormal coming to one of those too. I think up here he's talking about new movie. They're making a new Exorcist movie, and Linda Blair, the original actress, is coming back.
Oh, in the new Exorcist one.
Because I feel like she got hurt when she like falls backwards in the original one. Like she broke her back or something, and was messed up like forever after that.
She got hurt, and I think the woman who played the mother, who played Chris O'Neill, did as well. I think when she got tossed across the room or something, that was like legit.
Have you watched any sequels to Exorcist?
I have watched the second one, which I thought was pretty good. I love George. Oh gosh, what is his name? The guy who played the main character in that. He played the detective.
The actor's name? I'm horrible with actors' names.
George C. Scott.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm going to Google that because one thing about me is I tend to get at least one detail in names like really wrong.
I think I've only seen the first one and the prequel, the beginning. The beginning wasn't too bad.
Is that the one where he's in Africa doing the Exorcist?
Because I remember at the very end, she's like running down the hall and like the cave system. It's really
the beginning.
No, it's probably like 2003 or something like that. I'd say it's probably like 20 years old by now.
Did I not see that?
But it's all before when he's in Africa the whole time. And I remember there's a scene like a baby or something, a little kid gets left outside by the well, and when these hyenas come in and eat him.
I don't think I've seen that. No.
Babies
it wasn't bad.
The hyenas eat the baby?
Yeah, they got like possessed by Pazuzu or whatever his name is, Pizzoli, or and they come in and eat the little Pizzolis.
Yeah.
I don't know what is. It's Pazuzu, right?
Or what?
Was it Pazuzu? Is that his name? I can't remember.
I don't know if I've seen any of the sequels. Like people keep telling me 3 is pretty good, and I think I've watched it.
I've heard you either love 3 or you hate it. Like
I think I watched it when I was younger, but I don't remember. Like a lot of these movies, like I was really young when I watched. I mean, that's how old I am, and I don't remember much about them. I need to rewatch everything basically.
This was really good. I realized the third one is the one I was thinking about. And it does have George C. Scott in it. And our boy Father Karras makes a reappearance for a minute. Jason Miller.
Nice.
That one was really good though. I'm gonna not get sucked into IMDb and
is Dominion the sequel to the Exorcist book? Is that what the sequel's called?
I think so. And there's he wrote a bunch along those lines. I remember there was one like Weird Legion or just Legion or something like that.
Maybe Legion's the second one. I can't remember. I feel like Dominion sounds really familiar though. But I recently listened to The Exorcist on audiobook, and William Peter Blatty did the narration, and it was amazing.
I love the book. I really I've always loved the movie. And I feel like the book just gives you like a lot more, in particular with respect to Father Karras that I didn't necessarily pick up on that maybe something better at that might have. But
so is the book more on the suspense side that deals with the father, or so I always thought the book was a little bit farther away than the movie. The movie was more,
it does a lot more with
horror stuff
with Father Karras and like his mom dying and stuff like that.
So it goes more into that storyline and not necessarily.
It does a lot more with Reagan's mom too, like her being an actress and her director friend and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. It was really good.
But him as his demonic voice as Reagan was I felt like 10 times better than what they did in the movie. He was creepy sounding as Reagan in the book. Because he's got like this really deep, like raspy voice, and demonic Reagan would be totally worth listening to the audiobook just for that.
I might have to grab it for that reason. That's awesome. That's one of my favorites.
Legion. Lewis says Legion's a sequel.
Oh, nice. Okay. Ah.
I don't know if I've seen the beginning. See, now when we get off air here,
we're all just gonna binge watch all the Exorcist.
I know. Start from the beginning. The beginning.
There you go. That's what we had. Leah Lindemann. We told her she needed to watch The Exorcist because she's never seen it and actually knows nothing about it, which kind of shocks me.
I'm kind of jealous though, because imagine getting to go into that at this point.
Experience that. She doesn't know any of the memes of Reagan puking everywhere and all that stuff. She doesn't know any of it.
That's right. She's so not very horror-ish.
Yeah.
So we told her to watch The Exorcist. Yeah. We're going to pay for that, I think.
I think I tweeted about it, but it's like, so my husband is like, I think he like has a very old Facebook profile he used for like a really super specific reason. He's never on social media. And I mentioned something about Karens,
it's
and
evil.
he did not know what I meant. He had nothing, like
What a
no
Karen is.
reference, on there. And like I just like stared at him for like a good like 3 minutes, like I don't know how to start. And
Tell
I
him to open
kinda,
up
like,
TikTok.
yeah. Well, I tried to like explain it to him some, but then he very much reminded me of Borat. Like it's like he would try it, he would get it like so wrong. It's like, oh, this tie is not black. You know, it's like, no, that's not. It's like, oh, I guess I better call the Karens.
That's awesome.
Like, no, the Karens call the manager on you. I don't know. Like it just.
He just had it completely wrong.
Coming in October, the attack of the Karens from Laurel Hightower.
It's an anthology of horror.
Oh God. I mean, it'd be a good one, I imagine.
Yeah,
We'll have our Karen experiences.
When Karens Attack. There's actually a YouTube channel. I think it's called When Karens Attack. Yeah.
Josh Marcellus that like responded to that tweet with like, it might have been that or like another channel. He was like, here, start him with this. I got through like 3 of them and I was like, I can't. Like
they're pretty freaking annoying. I know.
I can't deal with it. It's infuriating. I can't do it.
It is.
And it's oversaturated on like TikTok. I'm like, come on, stop.
Yeah.
I need to see the videos of people getting hurt and getting punched in the balls and stuff. I don't want to see these Karens flipping out at Pizza Hut. Yeah.
There you go. You and Red can edit the Karen's anthology.
Get on it. Go ahead. Yeah.
So speaking of anthologies, you're doing the Dead Inside one right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what's the
good transition to get us back on topic?
That's right. What's the parameters for that one? Like what do they have to have in their story to be able to submit?
Well,
or submissions closed already?
Oh yeah, they're closed. We're almost done with our final selections. I think we're going to be sending those out maybe next week. So the premise of it was just it's identity horror, and that just kind of has, however you want to take that. But there's so many things that affect our identity or affect how we present that. Like, some of the things I thought of when I put the call out was like, toxic masculinity is really huge. And raising like a little boy, I see how prevalent that is. And, like a racial and ethnic identity and whether you present a certain way, parenting, how becoming a parent affects that, gender sort of things. Like it seemed like there was a whole range of ways that it could be approached. And I mean, we really did. We got over 600 submissions.
Wow.
And man, they just really ran the gamut. A lot of them went places that you would just never expect. And that's one of the things that I love about anthologies is just seeing how people interpret it,
Mm-hmm. You were able to read all 600?
Sandra and I split it. So yeah,
I was going to ask if you actually read that many or if you had a slush pile, read a couple paragraphs. I'm like, no, this is
how many made the cut?
I think that we shortlisted with the poetry, I think 100 or so. So we're finishing narrowing down those at this point. But I will say, and I don't know if this is helpful when people do this after they've done an anthology, but I see them sometimes do it. And I will say that especially because hey, I've subbed to anthos and gotten rejections before. And you get used to it, but especially your first few, you kind of sting a little bit, and maybe if you get a few in a row, you start to question oh, I'm gonna get at this. The number one top reason that we rejected things were just that they well, I don't know, there was a few of them, but mostly it had nothing to do. It's the story would be great, but it just didn't quite exactly fit the call or the theme that we were looking for it. Several ones I would make notes oh my God, if this were an XYZ anthology, this would be top of the list or something. So I guess I like to say that because I don't want people to get discouraged and
That's good to know because I'm planning on getting my second rejection in November. So
they get easier as time goes.
But you can't get rejected if you don't submit in the first place, Jay.
That's right.
I did the first time. I did the first time.
I know.
I was told it was too dark.
Ooh.
Hey.
What are you subbing to in November? Are you allowed to say?
I'm allowed to say I don't know.
No
I wanna
secrets,
say.
Jay. No secrets, Jay. Come on now.
No,
I'll say.
I'm working on one for the Weird Punk Books.
The
Call they
metal.
had.
Is that the heavy metal one or is that another one?
It's the World of the Eyes or something.
Yeah, Stories of the Eye.
Story of the Eye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, eyeballs are so gross.
No, it's not. It's not like that. It's like a relationship between the artist and the subject.
The subject.
Yeah.
Oh, ooh, cool. That's going to be good. Very cool. Bye, Justin.
Sounds like you said the wrong place. You got go to those darker anthologies.
Okay, so I will say like the one that got rejected will be in my,
short story collection.
Yeah, whenever I get that finished.
With the blurb from Laurel Hightower there, big and bold on the front.
Well, and we have that on the. That's recorded, by the way.
Yes,
so,
it's recorded.
I mean,
give me some lead time.
I thought I was going to have that out this year, but it might be next year now. But still.
Well, and yeah, I think that's just another thing too, because I feel like we all get caught in that whole like publisher perish thought. Like I'm not having any. I mean, I'm having some short stories come out in 2021, but I'm not having any like single publications. And for a while, I like kind of felt bad about that. But I was like, I'm also keeping a small person alive during an insane pandemic.
Yeah.
I guess.
But you've had a lot of stuff. You've had a lot of short stories and like doing the foreword for this one and editing your own anthology.
My 45-minute intro there just already hit on like
longer and longer.
Yeah, it already hit like on 10 things you were doing. So,
so Gemma did the cover for that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's it like working with her? Because you worked with her on this cover, and We Are Wolves. She did the cover too, I believe.
Yeah.
And you edited that with her and Cynthia, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Working with Gemma. It's ideal, honestly, because I just feel like our personalities mesh really well. Like we get along really well together, like just messaging and stuff. And we're pretty good at like, especially with editing We Are Wolves. It was like, I just feel like, one of us would like step in and do this part and the next one would like really have a handle on this part. And so it just felt very, I don't know. It flowed really well. And we had a very similar idea of how we wanted the final product to be, and just how we approach things. And plus she's just an absolute blast. So,
and correct me if I'm wrong, are all the proceeds from Werewolves, they're all donated to, I guess, different charities, whatever y'all pick at the time?
Yeah. Different charities. All the ones I sold at Scares That Care were contributed to Scares That Care, to that charity. And then, we've done a number of other ones. And I just like to remind people, I think that it's only going to be on sale until the end of 2021. So if anyone's interested in picking that up and has not done so, you got a few months, but I think then it's going out of print.
Do you see
you gotta grab it quick.
Blurb done
How to get my private email from Laura. That's Laurel. So
that's already
if you haven't, Lewis did it for you. Check's in the mail, Lewis.
I'll go ahead and use that now. I'll just use it now.
Just as long as you just have the blurb font really small, but Laurel's name really big. So no one can actually read what she said. Just have her name on the cover.
I won't even put my name. I'll put just hers. People think she wrote it.
Right.
Like I'll just be really small. Like,
They'll flip to the picture in the back of the book. Like, this looks nothing like Laurel Hightower. Just get your bottle of bourbon and get a Kentucky shirt on and thumbs up and like, hey, that's
I'll
Laurel.
just use her name and just spell it a little bit differently.
Or
I'll put an R. I'll put an R in the
Laurel R Hightower, like Stephen R. King. I think we talked about this before. I would feel really bad for that guy if his name really was Stephen R. King and he just can't get away from it. But I'm sure he's a pen name just trying to copy.
His name is Stefan Robert
Kingston.
Kingston, yeah.
It just always seems like, and I know, I'm sure he like goes out and gets the sales from it, but I just always compare it to like, it's like I did online dating when I met my husband, did like Match.com. And I
thought you were going to say like last night.
It's that kind of a marriage. Who has energy for that? No, but like there would be people who would post like very unrealistic photos of themselves, or like very, very old ones. And I always tried to be like very up to date and very like, clear, because who wants to go on a date and like show up and someone's like, You know, I mean, it's just
you know that person has to know when they see you, like, you're not the same person.
That was me
like,
when I was 19, but you're like 43 now. I know, still.
I wanted you to see me at my best.
Before it all
Now
went
you're at your
downhill.
worst. Yeah, now it's all down.
Before I discovered beer.
Worth it. Beer's worth it.
Boom.
So with all the stories from Werewolves, once the anthology's not on sale, or they just rights reverting back to whoever wrote it, I guess.
Yeah, the rights actually reverted back immediately to everybody.
Okay. Since it was charity.
Yeah, everybody contributed their stories, which is very, very generous. You know, and we had some just every one of our authors was just so completely top notch. And you know, really just put their work into it, and that was very exciting to have that. And I really enjoyed getting to you know, have some folks who like maybe that I don't know if it was like their first publication on a couple of them, but you know, like newer voice type stuff. And that's one of the things that I notice, and it's not like I see it like a whole bunch, but I feel like when reviewers want to write, you know, when that's something that interests them, I think that they just already have this major leg up, you know, because they already know what really sucks. You know, they know what doesn't work, right? You know, they've seen a whole lot of it and they've analyzed it in that fashion. And I just feel like they get to skip over a whole lot of that. So yeah, it was just very, very, very rewarding. But yeah, the stories reverted back. And so I know like Sonora Taylor's new collection that's coming out, I think in October, Someone to Share My Nightmares. Reading that now, really, really good. And so like hers is in
on
there.
there.
So yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that next. Like, what are you reading that you can give us a scoop on?
She reads all the good stuff.
I know. I mean, I think I picked up the S.H. Cooper book because I think 2 months ago she mentioned it, and
yes,
freaking awesome so far. So what's my next buy? What's my next buy? Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us where to spend our money, Laurel.
Yeah.
I mentioned Dismal Dreams.
Yeah.
I
read Go.
I think I have that. Maybe. Possibly.
So yeah,
we'll see.
That's fantastic. That one's really, really good. Oh yeah, there it is. Beautiful, beautiful cover.
I don't have it yet.
I would grab it.
Okay.
I would recommend that.
Lucid Screams is really good too.
Yes, yeah. Sonora stuff, Sonora Taylor, I really seeing things I absolutely adore, but you really can't go wrong with any of her stuff. And I'm about 30% into her new collection, and it's just stellar Sonora work as always.
I have a couple of her older ones I need to get to. I mean,
little paranormals, I think.
I'm telling you,
really
a Kindle is evil because you just download.
Yep. You can't even see what's on there hardly.
And you can't get to it because of all the other stuff around you. So
yep.
Yeah.
Well, I'm reading, and I feel terrible because I absolutely love it. I have to keep setting it aside for various things, but I'm slowly reading Jeremy Heffler's Boulevard Monster, which is so good. I loved Cricket Hunters. Just an excellent
Still need to
book.
read that one.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's so different. And Jeremy has this just like great, just inimitable voice, you know? So yeah, that's, I'm trying to like keep it to like what I'm actually legitimately reading at the moment, you know? So
I feel like Jeremy doesn't put out a lot of stuff. So I feel like he would put a lot of time and effort into what he does put out.
I feel like he's a very thoughtful author. I feel like, you know, there's just a lot that he puts into that.
Not saying that if you put out a lot of stuff that you're not doing that, but
yeah.
I think you know what I'm saying.
Yes. Yeah.
If you put out a book a month, you're not putting any thought into it. That's not what I'm saying.
There were our guest lists, Brad. Great. The show's collapsing already.
Some people just can crank it out just beautifully. Edward Morin, just my goodness, then the amount of stuff he puts out there, and it's like, and sometimes if you were to just peruse his titles and you're like Richard Punch, you know, it's all about a guy being punched in the dick. Like you could get this really wrong impression that it's not something he takes seriously. And he is a phenomenal writer, just absolutely beautiful. You know, Life After Dane just cut me up. Like it was so well done and so creepy, and also just murdered my soul, you know, like the whole time I read it. It was
and he kills me because he's like, he never promotes himself, and he never has, like, he takes his books off Amazon all the time where you can't even buy them anyway. He's like, oh, I'm switching my name, I'm doing away with the name. He kills me with how good he is, but he never it feels like he never puts himself out there like, hey, I'm an author too. It's more the booktube guy and the reviewer and stuff,
Yeah.
but he writes good stuff.
Yeah, he writes fantastic stuff. Yeah. I'm just trying to think, because at any given time, I usually have about like 10 things going on, 10 books that I'm reading. But yeah.
See, Brad, I'm not the only one. He makes fun of me because we'll say, what are you reading? And I'll go through like 25 different things.
30 minutes later.
Yeah.
Yep. It's just kind of a hazard of it. Oh, one that I would love to mention. I'm not currently reading anything of his, but like I've read several of his shorts lately. And I read Standalone last year, but Paul Michael Anderson. I need to go back and read like his full back catalog, because damn, like his voice, just the way he writes, it's just beautiful. And it's kind of funny too, because Standalone is like incredibly well written. It's a great story. When you read like the premise of it, you wouldn't necessarily guess at all these other, complete these depths and everything. And it's just like, he's got a voice, I'll stop now, because I would really absolutely miss that story. But there's so many.
I could just look.
So many fantastic writers.
I won't show on camera because it's a disaster, but I just have stacks of books over here, so I'm kind of looking over. I want to read Queen of Teeth by Haley Piper. I've got that over here. That sounds awesome. I got this book in the other day. It looks really cool. Cuts You Up by David Blackwood. I've seen this floating around a little bit.
Ooh, nice.
And of course, this one, I'm excited for this one with all the people in it. I mean, there's some girl named Laurel Hightower in there. I'm not sure about her, but everybody else sounds pretty cool.
Not me either. But
the cover on here is awesome, though. I love the cover.
I missed out on the physical copy of that because Brad didn't tell me about it.
No,
I got the ebook of it. But
I was like, send me the ebook. He was like, oh, I accidentally ordered an extra copy, so I'll send you a physical copy. So I wasn't even trying to get a physical copy. He just
I
don't
have any more room for my physical copies. My wife's gonna start like slowly taking 2 or 3, getting rid of them, without me knowing about it.
The basement's for the library. Tell her
gosh, like you guys don't see. Trust me, everything's behind. You don't see it.
Just all the junk. That's why. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 10 or 11 stacks of books on the floor.
Yeah, this was the kids' play area. Then I came home, and started working from home right there. And then we want to remodel down here, like in the spring. It's gonna be a bitch to move all this stuff out.
I think I just wouldn't.
Yeah.
Just remodel around the books.
Yeah.
Just put new flooring around.
Yeah. Leave the carpet underneath the books and then put tile around the books.
Exactly.
So I wanted to ask you, how have you felt about BookTube? And don't take this the wrong way, but I feel like you really blew up when Beard read Whispers, and then Crossroads came out, and you like really exploded on the scene. So how do you think BookTube has? I don't want to say helped your career, that it was BookTube that did it, but
Brad's wanting credit.
No, I didn't say my name at all. I said Beard, because Beard was the first person to do Whispers, and I got Whispers from him. Has the BookTube helped you think, at all?
Yes.
I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I wouldn't hesitate to say no, that it's helped my career. Absolutely. Because, I mean, you can write something and a publisher can pick it up, and that could be the end of the story. And it was something that I learned with Whispers, was that, you really have to do your own marketing, and you have to do this kind of stuff. And so I tried very, very to be careful and like just abide by all the rules, like I tried to be very careful on like, this person's not accepting, this person doesn't read horror, this person doesn't want to read this, but I kind of like, I followed the ladies of horror fiction down a rabbit hole, found list of reviewers on Barks, Lori Barks, her list that she keeps, which is invaluable. And I mean, anytime people, because it's like the pictures of it and people like having the videos and talking about it and getting a chance to, discuss for a minute what they like about it. No, I mean, I think that it's a huge factor. I think it's hugely contributory.
I'm looking at what she put on my video. Man, thank you so much for this.
So Laurel said,
that's it. That's all she said.
Well, it's one of those things that's like,
I'm just totally messing with you.
No, I know, but it's like you want to like go into detail on these things, but it's like you also don't want to be that person that's like, God, another weird comment from her.
I know. Yeah.
Stalker.
Does that also sort of play into the, I don't know, because we've talked to a few authors that said they don't like to promote themselves on social media, that they feel awkward about it.
Because
do you feel that way?
Evil.
Do you feel awkward about sort of, hey, I've got this book out, check out my book, buy my book, or Does that
Yeah.
not really bother you at all?
No, I don't like doing it. In fact, I think probably the only time I ever am like, hey, buy this book is like when the pre-order links go up. I will absolutely retweet, when somebody gives me a
Right.
lovely review or something like that. And I love sales. And I realize I probably shouldn't.
Buy her book, guys.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be super cool if you did, but no worries if you don't.
It's that two-headed monster where you kind of have to, in this day and age, use social media to sell your book. It's also evil at the same time.
Especially with indie and small press, you don't have the big publishing house pushing your book
Right.
out to the bookstores and whatnot.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it was really funny because one of the so it scares that care, I brought, Crossroads to sell. I was tabling with Red ago. And what I kept hearing was people would stop me like, I've seen this cover. And I'm like, booktubers. That's why anybody knew that it was theirs, because of you guys.
Well, because of Brad and
It's
Beard.
Beard did it first.
Bye, Red.
See you, Red.
Have a good night. Oh yeah, it's getting late, isn't it? It's like almost 10.
Oh yeah, we're gonna let you go. We're gonna
See, I never stop talking. That's what it is.
That's good though. We don't. The dead awkward silence air is not what we want. Just so there.
I could probably cut some of that out, but no, we're winding down here. We're gonna let you go back to your life, get some sleep.
My very exciting life of finishing my bourbon and going to find a ghost hunter show. Probably.
There you go.
Writing all those 5 novellas and
Yeah.
because now you've talked about it and you've teased everybody. So now you have
this
to,
is
you have
recorded.
to come through.
This is permanent.
Oh no, yeah, no, I definitely want to, and I'm trying. Okay, so I'm trying to decide. I feel like right now I'm leaning towards the coal mining one. I think that's what I'm gonna launch into when I get ready.
Is that in Kentucky, or is it somewhere else,
Yeah.
or you don't know?
I feel like it has to be in Kentucky, and I work for lawyers, and everything's extremely confidential. And I very much honor that, so I don't, it's definitely has nothing to do with anything like that. But I do work to a certain extent in environmental law, so I've have some experience with that end of some of the things that can happen. So,
is there a character named I don't know, Jay?
Brad Proctor. I'm just
dies like a horrible death. Just
I was going to say, if it's in this book, they're probably going to die horribly. So
that's totally fine.
Okay. Awesome.
just kill us off.
Yeah,
Will do.
Make it as gruesome as possible. I'll feel honored.
I will do that. Note to self.
You can have a cable news show, and the host is named Brad, and there's this kind of other host that's not really a host named Jay. He's just a guest sometimes that shows up.
Yeah. He's part of the show.
I mean,
it's my show too.
Nobody's told him yet, but
that it's not really his show.
First they took his name off the sign, and then they moved him to the basement, and they took a stapler.
They gave him a red stapler.
Yeah, they took it away from him because they switched.
Yep.
He still hasn't been paid yet, so.
And it just keeps sticking out.
All right, we're going to let Laurel Hightower get out of here. Where can people find you before you go?
Almost always.
I mean, not at home. We don't want him to come to your house. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't answer the door.
There's a window.
Go down I-64, and then you take a left.
Just send him to whatever that strip club is over there. Yeah.
Deja Vu.
Yeah.
I think it's called.
Oh,
Platinum Plus.
Yeah, that's a classy one.
How's Brad know all this?
Because I used to work in the Walmart.
Yeah.
I used to work in the Walmart across the street from the strip club.
Camelot's
Yeah,
best.
Camelot's.
Yeah.
There's not a lot going on in Lexington, Jay, other than the strip clubs and that's about it.
Horses.
Horses. Yeah. If you don't like horses, you're out of luck when you're in Kentucky.
Yeah, your host.
Strip club and horse clubs.
Yeah.
Strip clubs and horse clubs.
So you have a website, you have Twitter, you have Instagram. Do you do Instagram?
I do. I'm not super active on there because I never have time to take pictures, and the pictures I take suck. But
I am horrible at it. Yes,
it's bad. And most of the pictures I take are of my kid, so he's just the best subject matter. But so yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, though, is mostly where I interact, and then my website is terribly out of date, but it has an email option that I get a chance to answer regularly. So, Mickey, hello.
Right.
So yeah, I will be around. I'll be trying to put things out, and I vastly appreciate you guys having me on tonight. This was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks
there
for
you
coming on to
have
my
it.
show tonight, Nick or Laurel. It was really fun. I was looking
Oh,
at
now you
Nikki's
told me the
thing.
wrong
Down there.
name.
Well, Nikki's name was
Wow.
popping up
Now
down
I'll
there.
get my own thing.
No, yeah, I called you Nikki.
Well, let's get this. Let's end it now. So
Do we end it now?
for our special guest, Laurel Hightower, thank you so much for joining us. Totally appreciate it. For that guy over there, the
Me?
popular one,
Oh, I'm not popular. You need to quit saying that because I'm not popular.
the popular one, the one that everybody loves.
Oh, no.
That's Brad. My name is Jay. It's been another exciting episode of Paper Cuts. We have another show next Friday.
Yep.
Right. I need to make a
think so.
calendar. I really
Supposed
do
to
need
be.
to make a calendar. Yes. Hopefully I can talk because the dental works next week too. Oh gosh.
It'll wear off as you go. It'll wear off
Yeah.
as you go.
All right. Paper Cuts. There you have it. It's a wrap. Thanks for joining us. Till we meet again, stay safe.
Queen
Thank you
Wave.
guys.